Now for beta and gamma function, the first thing you will observe, there are these following uses of these beta and gamma functions we have. Remember, whatever the topics we are doing in mathematics, all these topics have the application in engineering field. Like the previous topics, we completed double and triple integration. Two of the applications we already seen. One is area and volume. Not only that, one more application we done, that is a mass of the lamina or the mass of a solid. So with the help of double and triple integration, we can find out area, volume, or the mass. So that are the three applications which is a part of our syllabus. Not only that, there are other applications like moment of inertia, centroid, all these are there. Now we are going to start here beta and gamma function. The first use for beta and gamma function is these functions can be used to evaluate the integral of the form this one. Is there any other way to evaluate this integral? Anyone?
Wally's
The
Wallis
formula.
Wallace
formula.
theorem.
Okay,
Using that formula.
correct, good. So yes, you are correct. These integrals can be done by Wallis formula, but Wallis formula have restriction. What is that restriction? M and N, this
The limit.
M and not yes. First of all, the limit should be there. That is a 0 to pi by 2. And the second restriction is that power of sine and cosine should be greater than 1, strictly greater than 1. Okay, and they should be integer again. M and N should be integer. So this is the problem with the Wallis formula. If I am interested to evaluate integration 0 to pi by 2 root of sine x dx, okay, I'm repeating, integration 0 to pi by 2 root of sine x dx, you cannot do that integration by Wallis formula. You have to use a beta function. By beta function, yes, we are going to evaluate this type of integral. And now for beta function, by the beta function, you can find this type of integral for any value of m and n. They're not necessarily the positive integer. They can be a negative, they can be a fraction, it can be any number there. So we're going to see the method of evaluating this type of integral by a beta function. That is the first use. That about mathematical use. Remaining applications are there from calculus or statistics. Like the second use, which was written on the screen, it is actually from the vector calculus. In vector calculus, when we are solving the problems on Gauss divergence theorem and Stokes theorem, there is a need the few examples of that beta and there you require these beta and gamma functions there. Okay, so actually this Gauss and Stokes theorem are used to find out the amount of a flow passing out from the surface, amount of the flow passing normally out from the surface. For example, if you have some electromagnetic force field and that field is coming out from surface and you have to find it. So there we use that Gauss divergence theorem and the Stokes theorem there. Okay, but remember this application is not part of our syllabus, so we are not going to learn these applications. Just for your information, I'm telling these topics, even though they are pure mathematics, these functions, but they are used mainly in different fields there. This gamma function mainly used to find the life length of the electronic component. Okay, so based on some data, actually you can predict what is the life of the mobile phones you are using, or electric bulb. If you have the electric bulb in your home and you can predict the life length of that electric bulb, yes, I am saying it is a prediction. Prediction means you are not necessarily you are 100% accurate, but that prediction is in percentage. That means you are 90% sure that after 1 year your mobile is not going to work it properly. Okay, that way. So that is a probability theory. In probability theory, these gamma functions are used to predict the life length of the electronic component. So these are some uses are there, uh, but none of the application that you are going to learn from second to fourth. So that is just for your information only. We'll start our topic now. So today we are going to see only gamma function. Uh, Now let me see the definition of a gamma function first, and then we'll proceed. So the definition of a gamma function is this one: the definite integral. the definite integral of the form integral 0 to infinity e raised to minus x, x raised to n minus 1 dx is denoted by a function of n. Actually, you will observe when we integrate the integral of like this. Suppose I have this integration 0 to 1. Okay, and I have suppose x plus n dx. Okay, integration 0 to 1 x plus n, this is n is some number there, some general number dx. Can you tell me what will be the answer?
X square by 2 plus
X
nx.
square by 2.
Nx. And when you put the limit, what will be the answer?
1 by 2 plus n.
1 by
Okay.
2 minus n. 1 by
Okay,
2 plus n.
so what we observe, we started with some integral I, which is integrated with respect to x, and it is a definite integral. It is definite, it have the limit, and we got the answer as a function of n. Function of n. So whenever we integrate some integral with respect to the variable, and it is a definite integral, so the final answer always come in terms of that constant only, function of n. The same thing is here. This is definite integral. It have the limit 0 to infinity, and you have some number n in the integral, so final answer we get as a function of n. So this integral have the answer as a function of n, and that function of n is denoted by, instead of f of n, it is given as a special notation, and that is gamma of n. You can read like gamma of n. This is the symbol of a gamma. Remember, some of the students are making mistake in the gamma notation and square root notation. This is square root notation that you don't have to use. Don't use a square root notation. You have to use a gamma notation. This is just like this notation. This is gamma of n. Read like this. So the integral 0 to infinity e raised to minus x, x raised to n minus 1 dx, if it exists, that value is known as a gamma of n. Okay, we are just given a notation, gamma of n. We don't know still the value of what is gamma n. Okay, we don't know the value of that integral. We just say the value of integral is gamma of n. It is a function of n. So you have to calculate that function of n then. And that function of n we can calculate based on what is the value of n there. Okay, depending on the value of n, we can calculate the value of that gamma n, and we use that formula, this one. This is known as a reduction formula for gamma. So gamma function is equal to the factorial function. We are saying gamma of n plus 1 is n factorial whenever n is integer. So when n is integer, yes, gamma is becoming equal to the factorial function. It is near about factorial function. But whenever it is not integer, we use gamma n plus 1 as n gamma n there. So we'll see. We are going to do the proof of all these properties. Remember, these proofs are coming in the exam. Now, as we say, we have some function there. So every function have the graph. Suppose on x-axis we take this n value, and on y-axis we take some function of n value. So this is n and f of n values. And we draw the graph of this gamma function. Then on the right side, this graph of a gamma is a continuous function. There is no break or there is no discontinuity for n greater than 0. For n greater than 0, the graph is a continuous function. But for n less than 0, gamma does not exist here. Gamma does not exist for 0, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, means gamma is undefined function. It is not defined there. It is not defined. There is a discontinuity at each negative integer. There is a discontinuity at each negative integer. Let us show you how gamma 0 does not exist. Okay, gamma 0 does not exist. The proof is by this property only. We are going to prove this property, but let me assume, suppose this is property we have. So from this property, I can write gamma n. So, actually, n gamma n is gamma n plus 1. So gamma n is gamma n plus 1 upon n. Actually, this is a property for all value of n, not necessary only for non-integer. This property you can use for any value of n, not means any real value. N belongs to R except n is not negative. Okay, not negative. So we'll see that later on after the proof. So suppose gamma n plus 1 is n gamma n. So gamma n can be written as gamma n plus 1 upon n. Let I put n equal to 0. So what will be the value of gamma 0? Yes, anyone? If n is a 0,
1 upon 2.
Gamma
Not
1
defined.
upon 0.
Defined.
What is gamma 1?
Not
Gamma 1,
defined.
we are going to prove it as 1.
Infinity.
So it is, yes, it is infinity. That is undefined. Gamma 0 is undefined. In the same way, gamma minus 1, gamma minus 2, minus 3, all they are undefined. Because gamma 0, we already observed, gamma 0 depend on gamma 1. Okay, there is a disconnection again. Just a minute, hold it. Okay, so okay, I think you can hear me now. Okay, so like gamma 0 is depending on gamma 1. Same thing, gamma 1 is gamma minus 1 will depend on gamma 0, but gamma minus 1 is in terms of gamma 0. Gamma 0 is already undefined, so gamma minus 1 is also undefined, like that. So just you have to remember now what is the important thing you should focus. The most important thing, okay, the most important thing you should know is this definition. This one, this you have to remember. This is very, very important there. Okay, that's one. Yes, we are going to prove these properties now one by one. We are going to see the proof of these properties today only, this one by one. Out of that, gamma half property we are going to prove in a beta function, because there is a need of definition of a beta to prove this property. So just we are going to prove the property C, property number E, F and G. So 4 properties we are going to prove it one by one. Any doubt there?
No, sir.
No doubt.
Just a general question I want to ask.
Yes.
Sir, how many classes will it take for this beta gamma function to be completed?
What is the problem for you?
No.
Why you are asking this question? Tell me.
Sir, in order to observe how much we have to study in this.
Okay, you have to go. Maximum we require 4 hours.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so 4 hours there only. So actually all
Thank
these
you.
things mentioned in the course handout. If you want to see which topic, how many hours, that everything is mentioned in your course handout and lesson plan. Okay, that is that document is available on Moodle TMI LMS there. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So each and every topic, their duration, everything is mentioned there. Okay, come to the properties now. Note down the first property. The question will be prove that gamma 1 is equal to 1. Prove that gamma 1 is equal to 1. So there is nothing in our hand, only a definition is there. So what is the definition of a gamma n? By definition, gamma n is equal to, yes,
0 to infinity.
yes, integral 0 to infinity,
E raised to minus x.
correct,
X
x
n
raised to
minus x
n.
raised to n minus 1.
Very good,
dx.
correct. Now what should be the replacement so that we get a gamma 1?
N equals to 1.
Yes, that's a straightforward. So gamma 1 become by definition 0 to infinity e raised to minus x raised to 1 minus 1, that is x raised to 0. So only dx will left there. What is integration for e raised to minus x?
Minus e raised to minus x.
Correct. Minus e raised to minus x. Limits are 0 to infinity. What is the value of e raised to minus infinity?
0.
Yes. Remember this value we require again and again in this topic. E raised to minus infinity is a 0 and e raised to 0?
1.
1. Correct. So if you put upper limit, this value goes to the 0. Lower limit of the minus sign and this minus sign become plus, and we got a required answer. Gamma 1 equal to 1. Hence the proof. Okay. So that is the end of the proof. If you have the doubt, yes, you can ask.
So can I leave the meeting and join again?
Yes, yes.
So direct question will be asked like this.
The question will be like this: prove that gamma 1 equal to 1. Okay, that question will come in the exam, and that question will come for maximum 2 marks. Okay, this is the 2-mark question. Prove that gamma 1 is equal to 1.
Sir,
Yes.
Will you please show the previous slide so that I can write last two properties? I mean the property
So
number F and G.
I'm telling you, all these PPTs are already on TMI LMS. You can keep with you, na? So it's not an issue. I will show you.
Okay, sir.
All you completed the proof of this?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So just I will show you here the previous slide.
So I was going through CHPL, and according to CHPL, this would be the last topic under integral calculus, right?
Yes, yes. Correct. So can we move to the proof of second property? This
Yes.
one. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the question is again, prove that gamma n upon k raised to n is equal to integral 0 to infinity e raised to minus kx into x raised to n minus 1 dx. So in this case, we are going to start with RHS. Okay. So we are going to convert this RHS in the form of a gamma. So RHS is equal to integral 0 to infinity e raised to minus kx x raised to n minus 1 dx. Now remember here we have to convert into the main definition of gamma. If you see the main definition of gamma, the gamma n is defined like this: integral 0 to infinity e raised to minus x x raised to n minus 1 dx. But one more important thing you should remember, these variables are like a dummy variables. Inner variable can be anything, still it is a gamma n. For example, can I write the same integral like this? Integral 0 to infinity e raised to minus y raised to n minus 1 dy, or
Yes, sir.
0 to
Yes, sir.
infinity
Yes, sir.
e raised to minus t raised to n minus 1 dt. You can write in any variable, is it? So that is a dummy variable. So this is n. So our aim is to convert now this integral in this form. Now which are the requirement of a gamma function? First thing, limit should be 0 to infinity. That's limits should be 0 to infinity. Second, there should be exponential function whose power is like only minus x. Okay, e raised to minus x. So can you suggest any substitution to convert this form in the definition of a gamma?
Sir, kx equals to t.
X equal to y.
Correct. Kx equal to t or kx equal to y. You can take any variable. The variable doesn't matter. So I taken kx equal to y. So x become y upon k. We got the value for a dx also, dy upon k. You'll observe which are the things we taken kx as a y. So we require the value of x here. So we calculated x. We require the value of a dx. So we calculated here. We have to check the limit, whether the limits remain same or changed. So you'll observe old variable is x, new is a y, limit of x is a 0 to infinity. Now when x is a 0, y is a 0. When x is a infinity, y is infinity. Limit remains same. So RHS will become, therefore, this RHS will become integration 0 to infinity e raised to minus y. The value of x is y by k raised to n minus 1, and this is dy upon k. Dy upon k. Just a minute, I will finish and then I will reply your query. So this about the just replacement. We replace the values of x in terms of y. Okay. Now what should be the step here? You will observe 1 upon k raised to n is coming common. This is k raised to n minus 1 and k. That is, and we're left with integral 0 to infinity e raised to minus y raised to n minus 1 dy, and you'll observe that integral is nothing but it is a gamma n by definition again, and this is nothing but this is our LHS. So we started with RHS and we got our LHS here. That's the proof. So I will check the okay, someone said, do we have to change the limit? Yes, if limits are changing, then only we have to change it. Right now, they are not changing. They are remaining same, is it?
Got it, sir. Sir, आपने समझा दिया था.
Yes, yes. Okay. Any other doubt? Anyone? Someone raise the hand in between. No doubt.
So can you please explain me that second last step?
This step, na?
Sir, taking 1 by k in common.
This is a k raised to n minus 1 and this is k raised to 1. So it will become k raised to n common. Now just we return remaining thing 0 to infinity e raised to minus y, y raised to n minus 1 dy. And by definition of a gamma, this is gamma n only. Is that? Don't remember the definition of gamma in only variable x.
Yes, sir.
It can be any variable. That variable is like a dummy variable. You can have any variable instead of x there. Clear? Because of that, I written these three things here. All these are gamma n. All these are same. Any doubt? Is that clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So can we move to the third property then? If you completed this.
Sir, please wait for 1
Yes,
minute.
yes, definitely, definitely. I can wait. Once you finish, tell me.
Sir, done.
Okay, good. So this one is the second property we completed. First is gamma 1 equal to 1. This one is second property just we proved. Let me come to the third property, and this third property is known as a reduction formula for gamma function. This is the reduction formula of a gamma function. What we have to prove here, the question will come like this: prove that gamma n plus 1 is equal to n n factorial if n is an integer, and here instead of non-integer it can be said as otherwise. Okay, otherwise, but I will tell you the value of gamma n plus 1 is n gamma n for all n. This is for all n. In particular, if n is integer, this n gamma n becomes n factorial. That we are going to prove it. Okay, so that is for integer only. So both are the same, whatever I'm saying. So we have to start with gamma n plus 1. So by definition, the proof will go like this. By definition, gamma of n plus 1 equal to integral. Yes, anyone?
E to the power minus x,
Huh?
x to the power n minus 1 dx.
Not correct, not correct.
Sir, only n.
Only
Sir, x to the power n.
Only n, sir.
Yes, correct. Because the previous was the definition of a gamma n, and now we're writing gamma n plus 1. So by definition,
Sorry,
gamma
sir,
n plus...
I was actually telling the convection formula. Sorry.
Okay, okay. So I'm asking about gamma n plus 1, but okay, no issue. So that about gamma n plus 1. Now tell me how to go from this integral to the definition of a gamma n.
N plus minus 1.
No, if you take plus 1 minus 1, then there is x raised to x raised to 1, or that x, what you are going to do with that? You can take x outside the integral. You can't. Yes, we have to convert x raised to n to the x raised to n minus 1. So what is the way to convert or reduce the power of algebraic function? How the power of algebraic function you can reduce it?
So divide by x.
If you divide by x, that means you should multiply by x also, na?
That is the same thing coming, sir.
Yes, that is the same thing. Then again, what about that x? You can take outside integral, no? Then it's the same thing you are saying.
So we can do plus minus 1.
That is the same thing, na? If you do plus 1 minus 1, what about the remaining x? That is not x. That x will not be there in the definition of gamma, na? Few of you are thinking like you are going to do like this. 0 to infinity e raised to minus x, x raised to n minus 1 plus 1 dx. But if you do like this, 0 to infinity e raised to minus x, x raised to n minus 1 is required, but into x dx is there. What you can do about this x? You cannot write that gamma n. Na? You cannot write like gamma n into x. This is not a correct thing. This is the wrong thing, because so what should be done? Yes, anyone? Obviously we have to decrease the power of x raised to n, so we should use a derivative of this. So derivative is the way you can differentiate that, become n into x raised to n minus 1. So if you have to use a derivative, we should use by parts uv. Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
That
Yes,
is
sir.
the main thing you will get
Yes,
it
sir.
now. So the first is x raised to n, first function, integration of second minus e raised to minus x minus integration of derivative of first n into x raised to n minus 1 into integration of second dx. Just we use a by parts by Eilert rule, and the limits are 0 to infinity, so you have to keep it everywhere. So for each term, because these limits are for entire function. So that about the limit. Now can you tell me what will happen, the value of this first term when you replace infinity?
0.
Yes, that is becoming 0, but it is not direct 0 actually. E raised to minus infinity is 0, and this is the infinity. So 0 into infinity you will get. That 0 into infinity, we have to convert into infinity by infinity or 0 by 0 form, and by L'Hospital rule you are getting that 0. Okay. So I'm going to tell you, or this you can do it in the exam also. Directly you can write the 0, because this term have the 0 value for both upper limit and the lower limit. Okay, this minus sign and this minus sign become a plus there. N is a constant outside, and what is the remaining? 0 to infinity e raised to minus x, x raised to n minus 1 dx. And what is this thing? What is that integral?
Gamma n.
Gamma
Gamma
n.
n.
And that's the proof. This is the end of the proof. See, the proof is very, very simple, but the click, you should click that by parts. There's a by parts that you can use it to get the answer. You
Sir,
can't
if this
replace n
question
by
is
n
asked
minus
for
1.
5 marks,
No, this is not for 5 marks again. This is for 2 marks.
sir, I'm asking that if it is asked about for 5 marks, then we should have to do L'Hospital
No.
proof also.
Generally, examiner knows that which question have can be asked for 5 marks and which can be for 2 marks. Okay. So definitely it will
Sir,
not be
this
coming
can be
for
2
5
marks
marks.
question, sir.
If it by chance come, then that is your choice. Then you can show in the detail, or you can write this much also. You'll get a maximum mark provided.
Okay, sir.
Okay, pros. So, but very rare chance for 5 marks this type of a question. So I think 149 or someone is written. Can we replace n by n minus 1 directly? Yeah, you can replace n by n minus 1. But if you replace here n by n minus 1, okay, if you replace n by n minus 1 here also you have to replace. Then you get gamma n directly. You can't get gamma n plus 1 there.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Because the n is on the both side of the equation. On both side of equation.
Yeah, sir. Okay.
Still, this proof is not completed, because we have to prove gamma n plus 1 as n factorial also. Right now we prove gamma n plus 1 is n gamma n. This is for all n. Okay. Thus, what we completed here, thus gamma n plus 1 is equal to gamma n plus 1 is equal to n gamma n for all n. So n can be any number. It can be positive, it can be negative, it can be fraction. Yes, except that negative integer negative integer gamma exists there everywhere. Means gamma minus half also exists. Gamma 3 by 2 also exists. Okay. So these values, yes, we can calculate by this formula. Gamma 4 also we can calculate by this formula. So this formula is applicable for all values of n. All values of n, we can apply this formula. Just we completed first part, gamma n plus 1 is n gamma n. Now we will move to the second part. We have to prove that is n factorial when n is integer. Are you completed?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let I show you the second part. Now here we just completed here gamma n plus 1 is equal to n gamma n. Now to prove this as n factorial, suppose n is integer. If n is integer, if n is integer now. For example, suppose I will take the value of n as a 4. So I am writing gamma 4 plus 1. Gamma 4 plus 1. Gamma 4 plus 1 can be written as 4 gamma 4 by this property. Okay. Can we write gamma 4 in any other form? Yes.
Gamma 3 plus 1.
Yes, correct. So gamma 3 plus 1 can be written as 3 gamma 3. Is it? So can I
Yes,
write
sir.
3? Can I write 3 as 2 plus 1?
2 plus 1.
That gamma 2 plus 1.
Yes.
Gamma 2.
4 into 3 into 2 into gamma 2. Can I write that 2 as a gamma
Full
1 plus
factorial.
1? So I will write 4,
Yes,
3,
sir, factorial.
2 into 1 gamma 1. But what is gamma 1? Gamma 1 is 1. Okay. So I will write it otherwise gamma 1. Gamma 1 is 1. So indirectly we got 4 into
4
3 into
factorial.
2 into 1. So that is 4 factorial. So as n is integer, we observed it can be written up to the gamma 1 and we get that as 4 factorial only. So same thing here is in the general proof. General proof, just you have to write applying the same result again and again. This implies gamma n plus 1 can be written as n. Now this n is written as n minus 1 plus 1. So we are writing n gamma n minus 1. Sorry, n. This gamma n minus 1 plus 1 can be written as n minus 1 into gamma n minus 1. Is it? Now applying the same formula again and again, you are going n minus 1, n minus 2, so on into 2 or 3, 2, 1 like this. This is multiplication. All these terms are multiplied. And why we reach up to 1? Because n is integer and that's n factorial. That's the proof. That is the end of the proof. So this is only this part is only the proof. This is only for your understanding why we can do like that. Any doubt?
Sir, so the value of gamma n will be n minus 1 factorial.
Yes, obviously. Gamma n is n minus 1 factorial. Correct.
Okay, sir.
Provided
Thank
n
you.
is integer. Okay, that is the main thing here. And
Okay.
what is the condition on n? N should be greater than 1 again.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, correct. Any doubt? Any problem? Is there any doubt? Can we move to the last property then?
Wait, sir.
Yes, sure.
Yes, sir. Done, sir.
Okay. Now you will observe the use of this function. This function is how it is useful to find the values of some special integrals, and these integrals are occurring in many of the different topics, and because of that this formula is taken there. Like suppose you have this integral, evaluate integral 0 to infinity, okay, e raised to minus x raised to 100 dx. Some of you may thought, yes, I will use a by part, but how many times? You have to use 100 times by parts. So it's one of the lengthy. But by this formula, we know this is like, if you compare this with e raised to minus x, x raised to n minus 1. If n minus 1 is 100, what should be n?
101.
So this is gamma 101. Directly you can say the value of this integral is gamma 101, and that is 100 factorial only. And that's the answer. This is the value of that integral. This integral calculation becomes so simple because of that special function. Such a function, there exist many such a functions, but out of that, these beta and gamma functions are the special functions which are coming in many other fields where we require to evaluate this type of integrals, and because of that they given some special notations like a gamma of n or beta of mn there. Okay, so we'll see that one by one again. Clear? Okay, last property now. Show that this property, name of this property is the second definition of a gamma function. You can write second definition of a gamma function. Second definition of a gamma function. There are two ways to prove this property. We can start with main definition and we convert that x to the x square, means we have to substitute x is equal to y square like that. That is one of the way. The other way, you can start with this RHS. You can start with that RHS and you convert to that main definition there. Which one you want?
RHS one.
Sir, from RHS.
Yes, from RHS. Okay, let me start with RHS then. So from RHS, we'll go to the gamma n then. So this is a 2 times integral 0 to infinity e raised to minus x square x raised to 2n minus 1 dx. Tell me what should be the substitution to convert in gamma n?
X square t.
Yes, x square is equal to t, correct. So if x square is t, we require the value of x there. So I will say x is equal to t raised to 1 by 2. The value of a dx, that also we require. So 1 by 2 t raised to minus 1 by 2 dt. And what about the limit? The limits, yes, you should check generally. So limit remains unchanged here also. When x is a 0, t is a 0. When x is infinity, t is infinity. So this integral will become, that RHS will become 2 as it is, 0 to infinity. Yes, it's a e raised to minus t. The value of x is a t raised to 1 by 2. Value of a dx, t raised to minus half dt. Now we can observe this one of the 2 gets cancelled there. This 2 gets cancelled, and just we collect the power of t now. You'll observe what is this power, t raised to
My
and this minus half again. Base is the same, so you'll observe this can be written as e raised to minus t raised to 2n minus 2 upon 2. So that is only n minus 1. What is that? That's LHS. That's a proof. Clear? Any doubt there?
Yes, sir. No, sir.